This video is brought to you by my $5 or more patrons at patreon.com/Alex Haitz. We have Identitech, Andreas Gleisel, Laura G. Sanderson, Steve Aldersley, Anthony Coleman, Ray Schuster, David Dockery, Kurt David, and a new one, Aubrey Coper. Thank you all so much for supporting my channel, for sponsoring this video. I hope you enjoy it. I'm back. Hi, everyone. It's been a little while, has it not? Yeah, the last reaction I did was Black Star by David Bowie, May 18th. So it's been like 3 weeks or so. I took a couple weeks off, took some vacation off of work, and just kind of rested, relaxed. As just after the David Bowie binge, it's like, I need a break. So I've been working on the Discord, been doing some live streams. We did this follow-up thing with David Bowie, where it's basically a two-parter, 49 minutes and then an hour, where me and some guys from the Discord just chatted about Bowie for a while. And it was an awesome conversation. If you want to go check those out, just look on my channel. They were like some of the last videos I did. And then I released a song called Spinning. It's track 3 from my Lazy Dream Pop project that I've been working on. So you can check that out as well. My book, link in the description. I think that's all for plugs. Okay. So this is a Patreon poll album. Every now and then, between like artist binges, what I'll do is do a Patreon poll where I choose 4 albums from a list of albums that I'm going to be reacting to, which that list is in the description as well. And I choose 4, and you guys usually have like a week. This time it was 2 weeks because I took a week off, to vote for which one you think I should listen to. And this one, obviously, Marquee Moon won by quite a big margin. Laser Guided Melodies by Spiritualize got a good chunk of the vote as well. Wowie Zowie got a vote, and I think This Is a Long Drive got a vote as well. But Marquee Moon won pretty decisively, which is cool. One of my sponsors, Steve, really recommended that I listen to Little Johnny Jewel Parts 1 and 2, which is a bonus track, 7 minutes long, is apparently their first single, or their first big single. And this is their debut album. So I was like, sure, I'll throw that in as well. So we're just going to hop right in. I don't think I have anything else to say other than check out the Discord. Link in the description. We've been having a lot of fun there. A lot of good way to keep up to date with what's going on with the channel. And if you want like a more info on the schedule that I have, because you know, I balance a job, a 40-hour week job, and you know, a life with my family, as well as writing novels and doing this. So I'm a busy man. So if you want to keep up with my upload schedule and what I'm working on at any given time, Discord's the place to do it. So television. Marquee Moon. So this was like an art punk, post-punk, also proto-punk. They just kind of did everything, sort of band. Active from 73 to 78, and then a little bit in the 90s, and then apparently 2001 to present as well, which is interesting. Only 3 albums. This was their debut. They did one the year after, Adventure in 78, and then the final one was 92 with Television, just a self-titled. So I listened to part of the title track off this album like months ago when it was recommended to me in a live stream, and I was like, this sounds interesting. It's not your typical punk, you know, because I'm a self-avowed not punk fan. Proto-punk, sort of, post-punk to a larger degree, yeah, but just straight up punk, it just doesn't speak to me all that much. If it's somewhat melodic, I can enjoy it, but if it's just straight like, it's like, it's just too all over the place. I'm not an angsty guy. I have a hard time vibing with it. And it's even more difficult for me to like process and enjoy it. So, I was interested in what I heard of the title track, which is why I'm doing this today. So, coming straight out of the gate by saying this might not be my thing. I don't know. We'll see. I don't just love everything I hear. It depends on the genre. So I don't think I have much else to say. So I think we're just going to hop right in with See No Evil. Lead singer, Tom Verlaine. He's the same age as my mother. Born in 49, he's 70 years old. That's weird to think about. Garbage. You know, every time I make a joke like that where I like say the wrong thing and it's like obviously a joke, there are people in the comments regularly. Like usually every time I say that, someone in the comments is like, "Why would you think that's garbage?" And I'm like, "Grow a sense of humor, please." What's cool about this on the Wikipedia here, this was 77, 2 years before the first Unknown Pleasures album, cool, first Joy Division album, Unknown Pleasures. And it says here on the Wikipedia, for Marquee Moon, Verlaine and fellow guitarist Richard Lloyd abandoned contemporary punk rock's power chords, which is one of the big things I don't like about punk rock, in favor of rock and jazz-inspired interplay, melodic lines, and counter melodies, which was kind of like what you were hearing in there, like the guy going in the back going, "I see no," while, you know, there's other lines going on top of it. That's a counter melody. Verlaine's lyrics combined urban and pastoral imagery, references to Lower Manhattan, themes of adolescence, and influences from French poetry. This is very atypical of punk, as you know, that I'm familiar with. So I'm on board. I'm on board. And I like the kind of do 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 do, the little like riff or groove, you could almost say, that kind of goes throughout that whole song. Just on that track alone, that isn't something that I would come back to all that much, but it's perfectly palatable for me. Like with a lot of punk, like very angsty punk, I'm just like, it literally does nothing for me, absolutely nothing. But that does. As far as replayability goes, we'll have to kind of see how the whole album plays out. So, track dos, Venus. This guy's vocal style, this might be like an obvious thing that everyone already knows about, but I hear Julian Casablancas in this, like totally. I mean, this is a New York band, you know, it's a punk band. But I hear Julian in this a lot in terms of like this kind of, it's almost a smooth croon with with cracks around the edges. I get that a very similar vibe from this, so I wouldn't be surprised if Julian took a lot from Television. Here's what's crazy. Okay, I find this fascinating. So, good song, great song. I look up the Strokes. People compare "Is This It" to various things. Like for example, let me see if I can find this here. Mark LePage of Blender claimed that "Is This It" is similar to the works of 1970s bands The Velvet Underground, Television, and the Feelies. But when I go back to just the Strokes itself, it says here, while critics noted that the influence of CBGB stalwarts Television, Casablancas and bandmates said they had never heard the band, instead citing the Velvet Underground as a reference point. That is fascinating to me. Um, because like if that you could have almost slipped Venus onto Is This It and no one would have batted an eye. I mean, that's a really bold statement, but like you could almost put it this way. If the Strokes had covered Venus and like changed pretty much nothing about it and put it on Is This It, everyone would have thought that it would have just been like any other original Strokes song. Wow. Okay, cool. Well, this is exciting. I feel like I'm getting a nice. I like when I get a nice dose of musical history, which is part of the reason why I like to do the artist binges, because like I feel like after going through David Bowie, regardless of any music that I didn't enjoy or don't come back to, there is plenty that I do enjoy and come back to with David Bowie. Thankfully, I didn't have high hopes about that, but it proved me wrong. I got a really good sense of musical history from it. And I love learning about history. I love learning about context, no matter what kind of history it is. I find it really fascinating because it informs my worldview. Um, and with this, I'm getting a healthy dose of that. I really like that. Some have been lesser and greater in degree. Like I remember listening to Psycho Candy and feeling like it didn't feel like it had a musical historical context. It just felt like one missing puzzle piece. Just like there it is. Whereas this, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of connections happening here. This is a big deal. So anyway, track 3, Friction.
It's just a little bit back. You give me friction. You give me friction. Friction.
I can definitely hear the Velvet Underground vibes from this. Um, this is what's weird. I feel like if you follow ever so slightly in the footsteps of Velvet Underground, you're called proto-punk. But it's like all this had was like vocal delivery, repetition. Um, it's like it seems like people will call you proto-punk if you just take like one or two elements from Velvet Underground. And I don't know if that's fair, because how can you call like if you just go to television on Wikipedia, they're called rock, art punk, post punk, and proto punk. So they're described as both being before, during, and after punk, which like sure, um, but I don't know. It's a complicated issue. That was definitely a more angsty one. It still was melodic though. Cool production actually. I looked up. So Tom Verlaine was one of the producers. One of the other ones, Andy Johns. This was one of his notable albums. The other one being Exile on Main Street, which is one of the big Stones albums, Rolling Stones. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. So those are the first 3 down. Now we're into the title track, the big long boy. Please don't quote me out of context on that one, please. That's going to be all over my Discord, isn't it? Okay, title track, Marquee Moon, about 10 minutes long. Let's go. This comes across as like a Strokes EP before they came out with Is This It? You know what I mean? Like a rougher, kind of raw, rough around the edges sort of Strokes. This is remarkable to me. I cannot believe that the Strokes claim that they hadn't heard this. before they, were making music and made Is This It? The the resemblance and the whether it's there or not, the influence seems like so notable. It's uncanny.
Lightning struck itself. Last stand is the Marquee Moon.
Now we're Interpol. It felt like a big, important piece of music. And I didn't love it. It probably won't be like a favorite from the album. Honestly, I liked Venus more, personally. But like, I listened to that and I'm like, yeah, this makes sense. Like, this, I can see this really informing a lot of stuff going forward from 77. Is cool. Is cool. A lot of interesting things happening in there. Not didn't just grab me fully, but good. Quite interesting. Okay, second side, side 2. Elevation.
Last word. The last word. Elevation. Our breath is burning. This cold.
Yeah, this just reeks of like post-punk revival. I can see a lot of the post-punk revival crowd taking from something like this. Like, this seems like a really close link. Again, it's like this melodic punk, which is really fascinating to me. Like, I don't love it. I'm not head over heels for it, but it's definitely the most palatable punk music for me. Anything melodic, I'm down for. This is just fascinating to me, honestly. So, Guiding Light.
Do I? All the ladies stay inside, cry for help. Oh no,
That's the longest theme song for a soap opera that I've ever heard. Which, if you guys didn't know, Guiding Light, second longest running television program ever. 57 seasons, 15,000 episodes, went from 1952 to 2009. I dare you to try to get hold of and watch every single episode of Guiding Light. If you do that, get back to me. Yeah, that one wasn't even really a punk song. That was just kind of very straightforward. What would you even call that? What genre? I don't know. There's something kind of sentimental about it. Anyway, we have 2 tracks left, and we'll do Little Johnny Jewel. So prove it.
Whisper woke him up. The smell of water. Prove it. To the facts. This case that I've been working. The world is just a feeling you undertook. How it slugs you in such colorless clothes.
Not expecting that at all. This doo-wop chord progression. Yeah, like these last 2 tracks, not punk. Not punk, really. Which is really interesting to me. So, last track before we do the single that was recommended. Technically, the end of the album, Torn Curtain.
Curtain reveals another torn curtain lifts me.
10 seconds of silence. It's 10 seconds of silence. Very good. All right, well, that's the end of the album. I'm going to save my thoughts until I listen to this one, which is one of their first singles, apparently, before this album came out. So let's see what this one's like. Little Johnny Jewel.
'Now little Johnny Jew,
It's like a song that exists exactly between the Velvet Underground and the Strokes. Weird. It's really weird. Yeah, fine song. Interesting. This is such a fascinating insight into like a missing link in music. There's a lot of cool stuff here. A lot of cool stuff. So yeah, as far as like this whole television Marquee Moon moment goes, I am fascinated. I'm fascinated. I don't love this. I like it. I won't come back to it much, if at all. But there's no tracks that I really disliked. Friction's probably my least favorite, but like it wasn't bad. Favorites are probably like Venus, See No Evil was interesting, Elevation was interesting, Guiding Light and Prove It were surprises. Torn Curtain was a cool outro. Yeah, this is solid stuff. This is really solid stuff. I would not call this a punk album. It just doesn't. It falls in a crack for me. It feels like this bizarre transitionary record from proto-punk of Velvet Underground to the post-punk revival of the early 2000s. And it doesn't, because it's sort of between that thing, you would think that like a proto-punk influenced album that would go on to influence post-punk revival would be just a punk album, but it's not. I would not call this just a punk album. It's really just a missing link kind of thing between proto-punk and post-punk revival for me. And I don't really know how better to describe it than that. Because it doesn't have a punk attitude per se. It's a little, kind of spicy. It's not angsty, I don't think. Because it's too melodic for that. I don't know, but good. Thank you guys. I finally did it. Finally heard Marquee Moon. Y'all can shut up. Just kidding. Just kidding. Okay, so that is done. Next week I begin my Morrissey binge. It's just 4 albums, maybe 5. There is one extra album I might get to if I enjoy Morrissey. If not, I'll just delay it. I will probably do it at some point, but if I really am into Morrissey at the time, I'll tack it on at the end. If not, I'll just kind of push it down the road. Let me actually look up to see which one that is. But I'm starting with 4, and those 4 are going to be Viva Hate, which is, I believe, his debut, and then Bona Drag, which, if I'm not mistaken, is like a collection of singles, which is supposed to be pretty well regarded. Viva Hate was 88, Bona Drag was 99. I'm skipping Kill Uncle, it looks like, which is from 91, to go into Your Arsenal, which is 92, the year I was born. And then we'll end it with Vauxhall and I. And if I feel so inclined, I will do You Are the Quarry, which was a 2004 album. If I feel so inclined. I probably will. I mean, I dig Morrissey to a degree. We'll see how it is post-Smiths without any of the Smiths members. Although, if I'm not mistaken, I think someone said that some of his early work featured people who were involved with the Smiths. Is that right? Like, if I go to Viva Hate, I don't know, was it produced by the same people? I don't see any of the other guys from the Smiths on here. Someone said that like someone involved with like the Morrissey albums was involved with other things. I can't recall. Shoot, I wish I could remember. Stephen Street, was he like a producer for the Smiths? He was. He produced Strange Ways, Here We Come, and that's the only one. So okay, whatever. Anyway, next album, we're gonna start it on Morrissey. We'll do 4 albums, and then we'll go back to a Patreon poll album, and then we will start in on Cocteau Twins, I think. I think I'm just going to go chronologically through Cocteau Twins. I'm going to try to break up my artist binges, do like 3 to 4 albums, and then do another poll to kind of intersperse it with something different. Because I think when I did David Bowie, some of my viewership may have like gone down or just not have watched or whatever. So I'm going to try to vary it up a little bit, but that's it. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope that was enjoyable. It's good to be back. It actually is legitimately good to be back. I always say, like, every time I sit back down in my chair and like sit down to listen, I'm in my zone. I'm good again. It's really the editing and, you know, all the minutia that I don't enjoy. But the actual listening to the music and filming is quite fun. So that is all. Be sure to check out the Patreon, the Discord, buy my book, and be good to people. Be good. Love people, and by love I mean when you love someone, it demands the perfecting of the beloved. So that means hard truths. Don't beat around the bush. If you love someone, you want to convey the truth to them. This seems really bizarre to end a video on, but that's where I'm leaving it. You know what to do. Bye, everyone. Godspeed.